Do I need to start the broadcast?
Are you able to start it?
I can.
Right.
Do you have the Do you not have the function? I have a knock on my door. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in the middle of the webinar. I'll come back. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. All right, I'm back. Do you have the start the broadcast function?
I do.
We can start.
I want to make sure that you're a presenter, though.
I am, and I'm showing my screen too.
Okay. All right. So you ready?
We're good.
All
I'm
right,
ready.
here we
Let's go.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan, and I'm excited to welcome you to our education session tonight, Your New Reflection in the Mirror. This is organized by South Mississippi Surgical Weight Loss Center. Now, first, I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So if you notice on your GoToWebinar utility, which is on the right side of your screen, there's a little icon there that looks like a palm of a hand. If you can hear me, go ahead and click it once, and it's like you're raising your hand and saying, yes, I'm here, and I can hear you. All right. It looks like everyone's hand is up, so wonderful. Glad you can hear us. Now, you are in listen-only mode. We know that you'll have some questions during this presentation, so allow me to direct you back to the GoToWebinar function there on the right. And towards the bottom, there's an option to post questions. So during the course of the presentation, please submit your questions in that box. Now, we will have polls and audience participation throughout the presentation, and we encourage you to provide feedback during the session. When asking or choosing to share a thought or experience, please type share. And what we can do at that point is open up your microphone and you can share your thought with us. Now, if you'd rather that we just read your thought or your question, just put read for the insight or story. Now, we're going to go ahead and assume that you just want us to read it, but really, if you want us to share it for you, remember, type in share and then your question or thought, and we'll definitely try to open up your microphone. More than anything else, we just want to make sure that you can find that question box. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so you can participate with us this evening. Now I'd like to go ahead and introduce our presenter for this evening, Nanette Adams. Nanette is a licensed professional counselor in Louisiana with obesity prevention, policy, and management. Welcome, Nanette.
Thank you so much, Megan. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I am looking forward to presenting on this topic. In our December webinar, we had the dietitian, and we talked about some holiday strategies to manage parties and do well during the holidays, because the holidays are a difficult time. And at the end of that webinar, we did a poll, and everybody said they were interested in hearing more about body image issues after weight loss surgery. So that's why we're presenting on this topic this evening. I am really excited to present this. I hope for it to be an engaging and thought-provoking webinar for each of you. Our agenda this evening is really simple. I want everybody to understand some common body image issues after weight loss surgery. Particularly after massive weight loss, people can struggle with their new image, and so we want people to become more healthy in the way they think about their bodies, and just become more comfortable in who you are with yourself on this weight loss surgery journey. So tonight we're going to discuss body image issues, self-esteem issues. We're going to have some polls, talk about our self-perceptions, discuss changes in self-image, some techniques to develop confidence, recognizing social impacts and awareness of that changing body image, and try to avoid that perfectionistic tendency that some of us have. We get that idea that, we have to look this certain way when it might not be ideal, it might be unrealistic. So we want to avoid that thinking and try to develop a healthy mindset and not compare ourselves to other people. That can often steal people's joy. It really causes a problem when you really think you should look a certain way, you should feel a certain way about yourself, and that's not happening. So we have positives and negatives after massive weight loss, and we want people to develop that healthy cognition to accept that you've had a lot of success and you've improved your health. So Megan, let's talk about the first poll. We have to remember that happiness doesn't come through superficial means. Happiness is something that comes from within. So I wanted to do a quick poll of the audience about who has experienced depressive symptoms in their life.
So who has experienced depressive symptoms either before weight loss surgery, after weight loss surgery, both before and after, never, or not a weight loss surgery patient? All right, looks like we have our answers here. Let's go ahead and close that poll and take a look at it here.
All right, let's look at the poll results here. See if they compare to the statistics in studies out there. Megan, do you have the poll results?
Yes. Are you able to see it there?
It's not coming up for me.
Okay.
I can see the results there. I don't know if the audience can see the results, but I can see them here. So it seems like everyone in the audience who has voted has experienced depression before and after weight loss surgery. That's an interesting statistic since on the next slide we'll talk about depression and obesity. 50% of patients who've gone through weight loss surgery report symptoms of just depression historically, both before and after weight loss surgery. That is tightly correlated. Obesity and depression are very tightly related. It's really hard to separate cause and effect in that relationship. It's a huge challenge in research, but it is a factor. A lot of people who have been obese during their lifetime also struggle with loneliness, social isolation, poor health. Many have experienced bullying. So those are all challenges to our mental health, and you have to work to develop that healthy self-esteem and work to think about yourself in a positive manner. So we'll discuss some of those techniques later in the program. Love yourself first, and everything else can fall into place. It's really important for us to learn to love who we are. Fitting in and trying to fit a social idea of who you're supposed to be and meet other people's expectations can become very frustrating and can promote that depression and anxiety, social anxiety. And so when we're constantly trying to live up to other people's expectations, we can become very frustrating. We don't want to perpetuate that negative self-talk, and it does take a lot of practice to move forward and not have that internal negative dialogue going on at all times. The next slide, this picture, and everyone we talked about, Megan and I talked about this yesterday, this picture is so alarming. Megan, you had said something about this, about your girls.
Well, this picture reminds me so much of my 6-year-old. Looks actually just like her. So when I first saw it and see the face, I kind of got this awe look, like, oh, there she is. And then, oh my goodness, look at what she's doing. Look at the body image that is already being expressed in this little one, and it can't be positive. Nothing can be positive with scissors like that.
Exactly. It's very difficult, and I think when you're a parent and you have small children and you're struggling with your weight, many times that becomes internalized with the kids. And I have a good friend who's told me this story about her little girl who came home from school and asked her, "Mommy, am I fat?" And she said, I tried to hold it together, but as soon as she was not in the room, I broke down crying because she sees me struggling. And that happens so often. Children pick up on what you're struggling with, and we'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm 7 years old and I need to be on a diet." well, a 7-year-old does not need to be on a diet. Any kid should not have to worry about being on a diet. And so we want to portray positive success to our children, that we have a healthy cognition, we have a healthy sense of self. Many bariatric patients find themselves much happier once they've lost weight. That dissatisfaction with their bodies, it can go away, but it can bring up other issues as well. And there are a number of psychological conditions that are often related to weight loss. Sometimes it can increase after weight loss surgery. Sometimes social anxiety can increase after weight loss surgery. I had a patient who recounts this story. She was about 8 months out. She had gotten down to a smaller size, and she came to me. She's like, I'm really worried. I don't want to dress in a certain way. I don't want to show off my body because I don't want the attention. So she was so conscientious of dressing where she felt comfortable because it brought attention to her. So it can run the continuum either way. You can lose this weight and you can feel comfortable in your body, or you can lose weight and feel uncomfortable. You can feel comfortable with yourself prior to surgery and then feel uncomfortable after. So it just depends on the individual and what they've been through throughout their life with regard to obesity and self-esteem. Many patients do experience life-changing and life-altering events after surgery. Many experience an increase in confidence, a willingness to make difficult decisions in their life and confront areas of dissatisfaction. They make huge life-changing decisions, sometimes irrationally. Sometimes they plan it out. They realize that this is not a situation that's working for them. They might change a career. They might change a relationship. It's a huge change, so we have to think about those things in that context and know that we're moving forward, and if we're making a big decision in our life, that we're making this decision for the right reasons. We're making it rationally. Body image dissatisfaction happens even with reconstructive plastic surgery patients. This is outside of bariatrics, but many patients go on to have reconstructive plastic surgery and body contouring procedures. It's not a very well-studied group with bariatrics, so we don't have a lot of statistics on that, but oftentimes, even after you've had those contouring procedures, you're still not happy, and there's still this persistent, I need to change this, or I need another nip or tuck here. It's reasonable if you've paid a lot of money and you want to have things look right, but we have to find a point where we're happy with ourselves and we're able to feel comfortable in our skin and accept that that might not be an option for everybody.
Right.
There's no wrong way to have a body. This is a great quote. We've got our next poll here, so get some information from the audience, see how you guys feel about this. Are you as positive about your body image right now as you are about your current weight loss success? So if you've had some weight loss success so far, this is not exclusive to post-op patients. So do you feel comfortable in your own skin right now? And Megan, do you have the poll?
Yes. Is it sharing? It should be sharing to everyone at this point. Oh, here we go. So yes, I'm happy about my health and body. No, I'm not satisfied with my body image. My health has improved, but my body image has not, or I'm not sure or uncertain. Sometimes we haven't had to think about it, or maybe we have at some point, but don't really know how things have changed. All right, so wow, look at this. Close that poll and share here. And it looks like we're split on that. We sure are.
3 ways. Everybody, it's runs that continuum that I was just. Yeah, that continuum across the board, that spectrum of answers of how people feel about themselves. So, it can change. That can shift depending on where you are in your journey. But that's very interesting that it's split evenly in that regard. Learning to accept ourselves right now, how we are, while we're in the process of change is really important. And you will experience stalls, you'll experience frustration, you might experience regain. But the one thing that we have to learn is to celebrate where we are at this moment in time and act in loving kindness for ourselves.
Exactly. Yes, one of our listeners in our audience states just what you said, that it can really change from day to day. So depending on how positive you are that day will often reflect on how we look at ourselves and vice versa. So positive experiences, right, or negative experiences can often affect how we view ourselves from many different angles.
That is so true. I mean, it does change on a day-to-day basis, and we are going to get to some techniques that you can use every day in the morning to really boost your self-esteem and take control of your day at the beginning of the day, and set forth some aspirations, some goals, develop some positive affirmations that you can use to build your self-esteem and work on having that positive internal dialogue with yourself. So there are many social influences on our self-perception. We are really bombarded with all these unrealistic images from fashion and sports and just society as a whole. Barbie is so common. I mean, there really are, every little girl pretty much has a Barbie. But she's so unrealistic. If you actually look at her dimensions, she would have to crawl on all fours to hold herself up, and her head would be 2 inches larger than a normal woman's head. So she's completely unrealistic, but she's an icon, and so we continue to support that icon. They tried to bring out dolls that were more realistic, but Barbie just prevails. I don't want to leave out our men here. I know that men struggle with this just as well. Men can have body image issues after weight loss surgery. Men can have body image issues without weight loss surgery. People of a normal size generally have some body image issues, and we'll play a quick video later in the presentation right at the end that we'll have a little discussion about that talks exactly to that. Those pictures and that comparison of those images in magazines is so unrealistic for the general population. The image to the right here actually comes from a European department store retailer, and it kind of went viral on the internet. I don't know if anybody remembered this. It was about 2 years ago, but there was this outroar of support for this retailer because they had size 14 mannequins, and so many people connected with that. They felt like they were finally represented in the retail space, and it went viral online. There's a great response. People really liked the fact that this retailer was showing clothing on a realistic-looking mannequin. That brings us to our next poll, Megan. Just to get an idea, do any of you guys prefer to shop in stores that use more realistic models in ads and in their mannequins and their displays? Sometimes it is an influence. Some people, will go to stores because they support who they are, and they're not designing for an unrealistic person.
This is interesting. We're actually, a few people are saying yes, but others are saying that they really don't pay attention to those sorts of things. So it could be that they're there and it really doesn't bother you one way or the other. It's just kind of something we're used to.
That's interesting. We're split 50-50 right now on it, and sometimes that does influence people. They might gravitate toward a retailer that is representing them and designing for them, while other people don't even notice that. But in one arena in particular, if you've been obese in your lifetime, you probably have noticed the way people treat you in healthcare. There's not a day that goes by that I don't hear a negative story about an experience a patient has had, a patient who's affected by obesity has had in the healthcare setting. You would think that folks in healthcare would understand, but according to a study by Nancy Rudd and her colleagues, healthcare and fashion industry students were surveyed about how they approach ideal body images and how it affects the way they treat people. So in their respective fields, how do they interact with people who are affected by obesity. And surprisingly, the survey that they took actually found that appearance was less of a factor in those students in fashion, and weight satisfaction was less of an influence in how they approached people. But in the healthcare setting, the healthcare students had more obesity bias and had more negative things to say about people affected by obesity. So the takeaway from that is that in the healthcare setting, a lot of times those people have an obesity bias that comes across to that patient, which is often very harsh. So what will happen is they'll offer advice about that person's weight without asking. So one of the things I really like to promote to other clinicians is to always ask your patient's permission to talk about their weight, because somebody might not want to talk about it. And if you bring it up and you press the issue, they may not want to return to your doctor's office. They might not return to the doctor at all. So Megan, have you ever heard any stories of people not going to the doctor who are affected by obesity?
Oh, absolutely. The individuals that show up to the office and there's not a chair that they can sit in, and so they have to stand out in either a hallway or in the lobby, and no one's offering to get them to a more comfortable place, and they feel very uncomfortable, and they're therefore with a back issue, right? So they're not feeling well, and they're being put in a very compromising situation. So I've heard of that happening, and also there's one patient that I heard of. She stated that she went into her doctor's office, and every single time she got up on the scale, it would air her out. So it got to the point where she was so embarrassed by this that she refused, and she didn't want to weigh anymore. And so not only did the nurse write down the patient refused to weigh, but they put all over her chart that she was non-compliant. And that followed her in her record when it came to opting into bariatric surgery. So these stigmas and these notes and these things can carry on with the individual, not only at the experience, but into their medical record, and it's really tough to see.
Yeah, and that's really bothersome to me, because as a clinician, I always want to present with unconditional positive regard for that patient and make sure that they feel like they can open up and they can talk about their experiences and that they don't have to hide anything. As a therapist, you want your patient to be able to come to you and tell the truth about what's going on. And if I saw that in a chart, I would never write something like that in a chart, but if I saw something like that in a chart, that would alarm me. And I have to remind myself when I get records from a healthcare facility or an office that that person who wrote that might not have the same approach that I have toward patients affected by obesity. It's really alarming. These cartoons speak the truth, though. This happens all the time. These are situations that are not unusual. I know many patients who refuse to go to the doctor because they've been treated poorly. There are a lot of recommendations out there from the Obesity Action Coalition about how to properly assemble your office. Make sure you have the appropriate chairs, the appropriate scale in the right place. They recommend that they place the scale in a room by itself, so it's a private area, so it feels more comfortable, that the scales are able to weigh all patients. It just makes things a lot easier. It makes a more comfortable environment. And then always give the patient an option to not report their weight, because that is their option to not report it. Some of them don't want to know at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, do you want to do a poll? Yeah?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the next poll. This is the most interesting of all of the polls tonight. Actually, I want to hear about this. Have you ever experienced a negative interaction about your weight in a healthcare setting? I'm really interested to see what these results are, because I know so often patients report these things. My good friend Ted Kyle tells a story about, it's a made-up story, but it's like you could go into an emergency room with an axe in your head, and they're going to tell you that the axe is in your head because you need to lose weight. There's no reason why there's no correlation or relation to, say a broken finger to your weight, or, the smallest injury, oh, it's because you're overweight.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense at all to me, but it happens. It happens more frequently than we'd like to admit. And these poll results are pretty interesting because it's showing that that's usually what happens.
Yeah, so let's close this poll and see where we are here and share with everyone. So yes, look at that. A majority of everyone joining us here has experienced weight bias. That's tough to hear, isn't it?
67%, that's a large number for our audience here. So our next slide is talking about phantom fat. And this is a common phenomenon that happens with weight loss surgery patients where they can lose the weight, they can be in a normal size, but they still feel like they're living in a larger body. They look in the mirror, they see the same person they saw before, they gravitate toward larger clothing when they go into the store because they've not accepted that they are in a new size. So it can be very difficult to make that transition. And this phantom fat term comes from the phantom limb. Oftentimes when somebody has lost a limb, they might feel an itch, or they might feel that limb or a pain in that extremity that is now gone. So there has been some research about it. In 2002, they did a study, 165 women. They were grouped into 3 different categories. Some had been were currently overweight. Some were formerly overweight and had been maintaining an average weight for 2 years. The other group had never been overweight. But they looked at the dysfunctional appearance investment that those women had in their life about their body image, and it was found that those that had lost a dramatic amount of weight had an increased fear of regain. There was a reluctance to acknowledge their current size and that change in size and clothing, and they often gravitated toward those larger sizes because they hadn't mentally adjusted to that new weight and that new size in their clothing. So it happens. It does take longer for the brain to catch up with the body, and generally that period does take between 2 and 3 years to start to get used to that new body. Sometimes it takes additional therapy. It takes some work, some cognitive work, in order to process that and become comfortable with yourself. We have to practice self-acceptance on a daily basis, and I recommend to some patients who've lost a lot of weight and feel like they don't know themselves to go into Saks Fifth Avenue or one of these big retailers, and not with the goal to buy, but with the goal to try on. To look at those designer clothes and try them on, and look at how unrealistic those sizes are. Because one designer might be a size 12 you'd fit in, another designer might be a size 10. It's very much vanity sizing. Dramatically across the board between designers can be very different. So realize that, try those clothes on and see and compare and go, this is crazy. This is totally unrealistic for anybody. I know I've tried things on, and in one brand I was a 14, one brand I was a 12, and one brand I was a 16, and you look at that and it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But there's no standardizing of sizes in the fashion industry. But it makes such an impact on our self-perception when we go in there to try on. And if you abandon that idea of a certain size and you just go on with, I want to try on clothes that look good on me, and then you look at the sizes and you see how much of a difference there is, it can help you to conceptualize that it's very unrealistic sizing. It is vanity sizing, and it does not make any difference what that number is on that tag or on the scale. We're so much more than that number on the scale or that size on a tag. So our next poll, Megan, go ahead and get this one up.
Sure.
Have you ever experienced the phantom fat phenomenon? So I know we have some audience members who've not had surgery yet. We have some audience members who are veteran surgery patients. Just want to get some information, find out, who has experienced this, because I want to see how common it is in our audience. And right now, it is looking like it is 100%.
Yes.
It seems like we've all experienced this. It's a very interesting number there.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally have.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into the store and you try on things, and that variation in size can really ruin your day sometimes. But if you abandon that number on the tag and you forget about what it says and you look for finding clothes you're comfortable in, that can be such a confidence booster. So,
it can. Clothes that fit well can really make your day sometimes, because you're not worried about it at that point. You can say, all right, this fits, I feel good, no need to worry, go about your day.
And designer clothes that fit well are always a thrill. Well-made clothes. You put that on, fancy dress. You go and you try on pretty dresses. It is so thrilling to look at it on you, and it fits right, and it feels comfortable. That's one of the biggest thrills. If you just abandon that size on the tag and feel good in what you try on that fits well, it can change your whole attitude about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, next we're going to talk about excess skin, because this comes up so often. Patients are worried about excess skin after weight loss surgery. It's really something that you can't get around. If you have been overweight a good portion of your life, a lot of times you won't be able to naturally retract the skin. You can follow all the clinical direction, to drink plenty of water, to strength train, to moisturize your skin daily, to get all your protein intake, and it might not improve your skin elasticity. It's kind of like a rubber band. If you keep on stretching it for a really long time, eventually it's going to just not stretch anymore. Hair ties generally do that. So, that doesn't always work. And when you carry that weight for so long, that skin might not come back. You might end up with, rashes or irritation or even infections. And that would merit skin removal surgery, but oftentimes insurance companies will resist in paying for that. So this is where I'm actually going to give a little bit of advice. If you want to pursue that, document every rash, every infection, every irritation, any blister, anything. See a dermatologist. Make sure that they're taking pictures at every appointment, that you're trying ointments, creams, document it all. It is a fight to get that covered. I will tell you, everybody I know that has been successful in that has had to go at it for several years. Usually it's like 2 or 3 years, getting attorneys involved, getting the insurance to know that you are serious and this is impacting your health, both your cognition and your physical health. So make sure that you're diligent in documenting all of that and that you're able to face the insurance company in order for them to cover the body contouring procedures and remove that excess skin, because it can happen and they will pay, but it is a long fight many times. Sometimes there are exclusions in the policies, so make sure you read the fine print, that you consult an attorney, but it can happen. So I don't want anybody to lose hope. It is possible. Sometimes you will have to resort to paying out of pocket, so that is an option as well. Number one, though, it is essential for us to take care of ourselves. Self-care in all of its elements, both nutrition, fitness, mental health, hygiene, is an important part of this journey. So many of us are busy taking care of other people all the time and in our lives, and we forget to ignore, or we ignore our needs. So make sure that you take out the time each day to take care of yourself. Set aside that time and make sure that you go to the gym and you exercise. Make sure, I'm saying that because my husband just came in, he just finished his workout, and he was holding up his muscle. But, you have to set aside that time for yourself every single day. He told me he was going to do that earlier, and I didn't take him seriously, but I should have known. He's a character. So this image here is really interesting. It was a blog post by Sarah Sapora. She is a blogger, a body positive blogger for the Huffington Post. She wrote this very compelling article about her own body image. She critiqued herself. She brought up each one of the things that people have been negative to her about, or things that she thought was wrong with her. And then she turned it around, and she looked at all of the positive things that she could celebrate about herself. And I encourage everybody to do this. Mm-hmm. Find a picture of yourself. It doesn't have to be at your goal weight. It can be where you are right now. It can be where you used to be. Actually, the challenge is looking at those older pictures once you have lost weight and being able to point these things out. So if you can sit with that picture and you can get comfortable with that picture and point out every positive thing that you think about yourself, it can really turn your thoughts around about how you view your body. This is a perfect example of turning around your thinking and embracing the positives about your body. Megan, have you had this experience?
I have. I was looking at a picture, and of course this is before surgery, and I was sitting down. And of course, when you're sitting down and a picture is taken, it's not the most flattering way we see ourselves, right? We're used to seeing ourselves standing up nice and straight in front of the mirror, or turned sideways, and everything is just right. And I remember looking at that saying, where did that chin come from, right? And I showed it to my mother. My mother said, don't say that, I made that chin. And I realized that here I was criticizing her baby, right, her loved one. And I needed to turn around and look at that picture and see what she saw. And oftentimes when we can see ourselves through the eyes of our loved ones, if we can do that instead of being so critical, that's when we start to see those beautiful things. And what I saw was that, a neatly shaped face and some pretty eyes, and, I started seeing some other things, and I didn't feel so bad about myself. And I got over taking a picture while I was sitting down. So the next time it happened, I didn't beat myself up all day about it, So yes, this is definitely happened quite a bit.
And sometimes you just need somebody to give you that positive feedback, and help you get out of that negative thinking pattern. And we'll talk about negative thinking patterns in a little bit. But this image is great. This is definitely some encouragement to how to view those flaws and turn them into something you can embrace and see yourself as flawless, because we've done amazing things with our bodies. We've had kids, and we've worked out, and we've grown muscles, we've lost weight, we've gotten healthy, all these important factors where looking perfect and being, getting this perfection is not important. It's being a good person, celebrating your beauty and bringing that and accentuating your beauty in a way that expresses your style and your personality in a positive way. So I love this image. It's one of my favorite things I've come across recently when we were researching this, and it just made all of the difference in the world. She's this body positive blogger, and there is a movement out there where people don't want to lose weight. They want to stay healthy where they are, and that is completely possible. And if you can accept yourself wherever you are and you can do things to promote your health, then you're in a good place of body acceptance.
Right. There's an observation from someone that's joining us saying we often treat ourselves worse than we would our friends or even people we don't even like all that much. Isn't that true?
That is so true. Some of the things that we say internally to ourselves are things we would never say to other people. That is such a poignant observation there. That's like right on the head. I've heard that from clients many a times, that we talk so negatively to ourselves internally that it's kind of sad. But we can turn that around.
Yes.
So, this is really brings us to a really important concept in this subject matter, that we need to develop a level of self-acceptance and realize our certain circumstances do influence where we are, and learn to love ourselves. It doesn't mean we can't think about how things could be better, but it does mean that we can want to better ourselves or improve our figure. There is a healthy way to think about change and an unhealthy way to express our dissatisfaction. Sometimes it's as simple as turning a situation around, turning how you look at it, like in the cartoon here, a good self-esteem day and a bad self-esteem day. That's just, you have to realize that sometimes it is not you. Sometimes it is the outfit. Sometimes it is, things that are stressing you out that might make you, talk negatively to yourself. it can be a monumental task to turn around that negative self-talk and build that positive. Sometimes it's a huge undertaking to really build your health and improve your physique if you decide that you want to become more of an athlete or you want to work out and exercise a lot to try to lose weight and maintain better health. We have to celebrate how far we've come at any given moment and not lament over what we haven't attained. So exercise is one of those things that, I love it or I hate it, but I've been trying to develop this cognition of I love it and I'm celebrating my body and I'm getting healthier, I'm getting stronger. So I developed this method of how I reward myself. I was telling Megan about this yesterday. I have this rule. If I go to the gym 5 days a week, then on Friday I can go ahead and have a pedicure because the gym is right next to the nail salon. I think they set that up on purpose, honestly, because I like to get pedicures. So I try to get to the gym at least 5 times in 1 week, at least once a month. And it's usually, if I've skipped a week at all, then I feel like I don't deserve it during that month. But my goal is always to get to the gym either 3 or 4 times during the week, every week. So if I meet that goal, then I reward myself with a pedicure. If I don't, then my feet are going to look ugly. Like, you don't deserve a pedicure because you didn't go to the gym every day this week. So I usually will take the weekend off because the weekends are time to kind of relax, and there's always so much stuff to do here in New Orleans that the weekends are time to go and hear live music or go and participate in a festival, do stuff out and about.
Right. Well, what I really liked about that, Nanette, too, is that you have set up goals that you're going to be able to get to. They aren't unrealistic, but they also aren't so simple that you would just kind of brush it off. So it's really neat how you've set that up for you. It really has seemed to make a difference for you.
It does. It really makes a lot of difference because I feel like it's a luxury that I don't need,
Right.
But the exercise is not a luxury. It's a requirement. And so, if I'm kind of pushing myself to do that because I want to have that pedicure, then it's the motivation that week. I'll be like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it every day this week. I do try to at least work out or do some exercise 3 or 4 days a week, but those weeks when I'm raring to go, that usually is my motivation. So I want to talk about next building your self-esteem. So this is a process. This is something that does not come easily. We're changing our lives. We're changing our health. We want to create a vision. Where are we going? Do we have the aspirations to be more athletic and compete in 5Ks or 10Ks or even compete against yourself? Because really that is the biggest challenge. That is the important challenge, is to do better than you did before. So creating a vision for yourself, and use your imagination and think about who you want to be. You can start small. You can't run a marathon if you haven't done a 5K. So you want to start small, make small goals. You have to train for that 5K, every day on a regular basis in order to get to that marathon eventually. So if that's a goal that you want, then you can set it, but you have to know that you have to separate the smaller goals in order to get to the larger goal. So, you start small, you praise yourself each day, you meet those expectations. Part of that is that support to continue and to motivate you can be to be social. So if you have a support network, if you go to your weight loss surgery groups, that can be a big push. You can have people that make you accountable, that call you and talk to you and say, hey, did you go to the gym today? Or they message you on Facebook and say, hey, how are you doing with this? That makes all the difference in the world sometimes. We need to create a plan for ourselves, in order to get active. We need to, decide, okay, this is something I want to do, and this is the way I'm going to get there. Those goals are so important to drive our behavior. They can help to define our motivation. It is so important to have something that motivates you, or have people around you that are positive and that are encouraging you. Now, one of the things that I have struggled with a lot, throughout the years, is learning to accept compliments from people graciously. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, you're just saying that because, and I'll make an excuse. But being able to accept compliments from people is so important in your progress and your confidence and just that self-esteem building. And now sometimes people do, after weight loss surgery, make comments that they might think is a compliment. That doesn't always come off as a compliment to you. So we have to learn to recognize when those negative or internally negative compliments to us, so how it's perceived to us, may have meant to be a positive thing from them. There are lots of people in our lives that will do that, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, but we have to be able to accept those compliments and maybe not internalize what they've said to us. A lot of times we will, run it through our head a million times because it sounded so bad to us, but they meant it as a compliment. So one of the other things is comparing ourselves to others. It can completely destroy your joy and happiness. It can completely ruin your day to compare yourself to somebody else's success, or somebody else's failures or somebody else's progress in their goals. So we have to remember that not each of us has the same circumstances. Some people will lose weight very fast. Some people will be slow losers. The only person you're competing with is yourself. So do better each day. Add more exercise if you're not happy. Make sure you're getting your water in. Make sure you're getting all your protein in. Do all of the things that you know that you need to do as a good bariatric post-op patient, and know that it's eventually going to all pay off and it's going to happen even when you are in a plateau or you are stuck. As long as you can be accountable to yourself for the things that you know you need to do, eventually the scale's going to start moving again. You're going to start losing the weight again. And this leads into our next slide, and one of our last little activities here is to develop and use daily affirmations. This is so important to developing healthy cognition and self-esteem. Mirror work is a practice to improve self-esteem, and it creates self-acceptance and love for yourself. So many of us don't take out the time to think about these things each day, but it is so important. And you can use a mirror, or compact, a cell phone, any of those things, anywhere you are. Though if you're around other people, they might look at you funny if you're saying this, but who cares what they think? This is all about you. This is all about building how you feel about yourself. When we start to read this, it's going to sound silly. It's going to sound easy. You're probably going to think that, oh, this is this is not for me. But it's only a beginning to the practice. So this is the first step, and you want to become comfortable with reading this letter to yourself. And I'm going to read it because I think it's important to hear this. This is originally presented by Louise Hay. This is mirror work from some of her research, her books. She's a therapist. She's very popular online. You may have seen some of her stuff. So what you do is you look at the mirror and you look into your eyes and you repeat this. I love you. I really, really love you. You want to say your name in that. You are my best friend, and I enjoy living my life with you. Experiences come and go. However, my love for you is constant. We have a good life together, and it will only get better and better. We have many wonderful adventures ahead of us, and a life filled with life filled with love. All of the love in our lives begins with us. I love you. I really, really love you. So this is a daily practice for mirror talk. You can use this. You can print, the little letter out and put that on your mirror. One of the additions to this that I use with my clients is to start to develop your goals in this. You talk about your daily affirmations and what you want to accomplish each day. So once you're comfortable expressing your self-love in this, you can start to create that vision, and you talk to yourself in the mirror in the morning to make sure your day stays positive. Each day, I look in the mirror and I say, today I am going to move mountains for myself and others. Today I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes. Today I'm going to be patient and kind to all of those I encounter. Today I'm going to love the work that I do for other people. And I really love the work I do every single day. Megan and I have the pleasure and the really opportunity to work with people affected by obesity every single day. And I know that my work is a blessing. I count it twice. Megan, don't you love what we do?
I do every single moment. It is not a chore. It is a privilege because we get to share amazing experiences with every single person that we have contact with. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, I do. And when I started out on this journey, and I was looking for the perfect job for me, it was just a blessing to find Obesity PPM and to begin this really extraordinary task of helping people find those obesity treatments that work for them. And it is a process. It does take time. People are sometimes not ready to make that decision after they've been to a seminar or a webinar, and we have to work with them at their own pace, and that's really important. So this next slide is about steps to body positive image. This comes from the National Eating Disorders Association. It is an organization to promote awareness of eating disorders. We often think about anorexia and bulimia as eating disorders, but binge eating disorder is also in that category. And all of these are fitting in just the same way. We really, at number one, appreciate what your body can do. We do extraordinary things, and we just don't give ourselves recognition for that. 2, keep a top 10 list of the things that you like about yourself. 3, remind yourself that you have true beauty and it is not skin deep. Or, I'm sorry, it's not simply skin deep. 4, look at yourself as a whole person. So look at everything about you in your life and how you contribute to your loved ones and those around you. 5, surround yourself with positive people. 6, shut down those voices in your head that tell you that your body is not right or that you're a bad person. 7, wear clothes that you're comfortable in, that you feel comfortable in, that make you feel good about yourself. It's so important, to dress for your style and what you feel comfortable in. 8, become a critical viewer of social and media messages. This makes so much. It takes time. I mean, we see these things, these images bombarded by us, and we don't always know that they influence us. They do have an impact on how we see ourselves oftentimes, and very much, subconsciously. Number 9, do something nice for yourself. So take the time to relax, take a bubble bath, go outside, take a nap, do things for yourself. Take care of you. 10, use the time and energy that you might spend worrying about food or calories or your weight to do something to help others. And this is a great one. I often recommend to people who have actually been through surgery and that are struggling later to pair up with somebody who's new. Remind yourself of all of those things that you were supposed to do in the beginning and begin to implement them. Live by those rules that we were given. It makes such a big difference in how you approach it when you see somebody who's new and they're excited about it, and it can really revive that, just vitality that we had at the beginning, that just charge and excitement that we had when we first got started. So
It's
I know
contagious, isn't it? It can definitely.
It really is. When you work in this, it really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we had talked about we were going to get some feedback from the audience at this point of, in those 10 steps, is there something that just pops out at you that you want to do for yourself? Is there something that you identify with? Megan, is there anything that you think you're going to do differently this week?
Well, I think there's one thing that I definitely realized I had done in the past and I didn't realize it. My daughter brought home, it was a fundraiser, and of course half the fundraisers are usually selling magazines. And I don't read magazines. I usually do everything online. But I went ahead and I don't know why I did this, but I got People magazine of all things. I could have gotten National Geographic. I could have gotten all sorts of stuff. I did People magazine. And this was probably, I was in the losing phase, right? And so I was, checking the body out, seeing how it was different. And I didn't realize it, but I had gone from being very positive about my experience to all of a sudden looking at very unrealistic expectations. And I really can't chop it up to anything at that moment except that magazine that was in front of me. And I tell you what, I got rid of it. I got rid of it so fast. I did not renew the subscription. I started giving the magazine to a doctor's office that I knew. They could have it in their office. So that's one thing that I am going to always keep an eye on because I think it's so important. But other than that, I think it's really number one here, appreciate my body. Because when we work long hours or we find ourselves dedicating ourselves to our families, which I know I do quite a bit, we forget that we have this body that can do a lot still and probably for a very long period of time, but it may not always be that way, right? My mother had a debilitating stroke, and for many years, before she passed, she was unable to move. And I could watch her watching the family and just wanting to be there with us. So isn't this the moment to seize the day and to move this body and to use it for all the wonderful things it can do? We need to honor it. Mm-hmm.
It's so very true. So the next slide, and this was something we mentioned earlier, it's going to play a commercial at the beginning of it, but I want to make sure that we see this video. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. Hopefully we can skip this. Okay, so this is a video from Cassie Ho. She's of Blogilates. Just going to go ahead and watch this. I'm going to make full screen so everybody can see it. So I think that's a really powerful video about how cruel other people can be, and that idea that we have to change who we are to fit into society. And she's got this electronic, this Photoshop type, ability to change all of these things that people are criticizing. But she looked fine before that. So even people of a normal size do struggle with body image issues and do get criticism from others around them. Megan, you there?
Yes, that was very powerful. I think it shows that it affects us all. It's not just those that are dealing with obesity or have dealt with it in the past. It can be everyone, and is everyone in lots of cases.
So let's ask the audience, just through the chat function, are there things that you would change about your body? Are there things that you wish were different, about your physique, and has the feedback from other people influenced how you feel about your figure? So feel free to chime in there. I've come to the point, I think, in my journey, and been a larger size and a smaller size, and then back up and back down again, that I'm not sure I would change anything, because I've learned so much every single point in my life. Every single time that I've worked hard and earned it, or I've struggled and I've not been able to earn it, that I've learned to come to a point of self-acceptance, that what other people say about me is not important. It's how I feel about myself every single day. And am I feeling good about the work that I do? Am I encouraging other people to succeed? Am I helping people to choose the appropriate treatment to change their health? And that's what makes a big difference in my life, that I talk to people every day that are wanting to get healthier, and if I can help them and guide them and encourage them, that's what makes the difference in my life.
Absolutely. And just as a reminder to all of you out there, if you'd like to share a story or ask a question and want to speak, just make sure to you can type in share, and now I can open up your mic so you can share an experience with us.
So anybody who wants to tell a story, or even put it in the comments, we can share. So many of us have stories to tell about what has happened to us, or things people have said, and criticisms that we've internalized. And I understand that that's a very sensitive subject, so if nobody wants to share, that's fine. But it would be great to hear from the audience and hear if you have any experiences. We do have the capability to allow you to go ahead and ask those questions or share those stories and talk to us. But if nobody has any questions or any stories they'd like to share.
We have one right here. Yes, would like for me to read. It says, even my imperfections are a badge of honor to me now. If I didn't have bat wings, how could people outwardly tell how hard I've worked and how far I've come? It's like a badge of honor, isn't it? Those have been well earned. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it does make a difference when we're able to accept, hey, I've been through all of this, and I'm, working hard to get healthy, but you know what, my body's not going to be perfect. But that's okay. That's completely fine. Where I'm at right now is all right, and I'm okay with that. I have negative self-talk that comes up sometimes, and I've learned that I have to just stomp it out, that I have to find a positive. I'll be self-critical, and then I'll realize, why are you doing this to yourself? You're making yourself upset. You're making yourself depressed about this. This is not something that you should be just depressed about. You've worked and you've earned this, and you've gotten healthier, and you no longer have type 2 diabetes. You no longer have all these health problems, so you've earned it. And that's just part of the process. Changing your cognition about how you feel about your body is part of this process. Sometimes it's the most difficult part about the process. It's that cognitive journey to change how you speak to yourself.
And it takes practice. We're not just going to do it overnight. That's what I love about your mirror talk and mirror work.
It does, and you know what, you repeat that. It's not something you just do once. It's something that you want to do every single day until you can truly accept all of those things, and then you can move it forward into a, aspiration. These are affirmations of what I want to succeed at, what I want to do, what my plan is in life, and you build on that every single day. And if you're working towards your goals every single day, there's no reason why you won't meet those goals. You may find that you have other goals that come about, and that you're steered to another path through that processing. That mirror work can be a true process to find yourself and find your dreams.
Absolutely. For some of us, it could be just letting someone else kind of dote on us, right? Like maybe getting our makeup done somewhere, or having a massage, You know, there's some people that are very uncomfortable in their own skin, and sometimes just having someone touch them and work that body and make it feel good can have a big impact, right?
It does. It does make a big difference to be able to get comfortable in that. And so many people have said to me, oh, I could never have a massage. I could never have somebody, give me a pedicure. It makes me so uncomfortable. But you can't get through that discomfort if you don't expose yourself to that experience. So oftentimes in the process of change, you have to put yourself in a situation where you're going to feel uncomfortable for a little bit to get used to, oh, this is not so bad. This actually feels pretty good. And so that often happens. We have to expose ourselves to a new experience in order to grow.
Absolutely.
So it's been such a great webinar this evening. I've enjoyed talking to everybody. Do we have any more feedback, Megan, from the audience?
We do. We just got another one here. It says, I was sleeved in 2012, never made it to goal, and got on a med that made me eat all day. I was gaining weight and struggling with getting back on track. I had a friend who said, all you've done is steadily gain weight since I've known you. I was so hurt, I went in the opposite direction. I ate even more. She then said, you thought you could take the easy way out, but you can't. She is on a starvation diet and has lost 50 pounds. She resents me. I've ended the friendship. I'm just now coming back from the damage my medication and those comments made. I'm back to basics and just started seeing the scale go down again. But I'm obsessed. So how do we find balance even when we're going in the right direction, right?
Sure, and sometimes we have to decide if those people are helping us or they're harming us. Those relationships with others sometimes will promote these negative behaviors. Sometimes you'll have friends who just want to go out and want to party all the time and do things that are very unproductive toward your goals for your health. And sometimes we have to just choose. Maybe we need to have other friends. Maybe we need to have people that are supportive of us and not critical of us. But it's hard. It's a difficult decision to make, and sometimes we lose friends in this process. I've had lots of patients tell me that after weight loss surgery, all the people that I thought supported me were critical of me, that told me I took the easy way out, and it was really hurtful. So I just had to cut them off or put them at a distance. Choose when I spent time with them very wisely, made sure that, it was an appropriate environment to spend time with them, and that I had a way out if I felt uncomfortable. So we have to make those difficult decisions. If those people around us are not working for us, we have to put them at a safe distance. It happens. It's difficult.
Right. I don't see anything else coming through, but I'll definitely keep an eye out.
Yep, so it has been such a pleasure to speak with everybody this evening. What we're going to do now is we are going to upload this presentation. It will be available on the South Mississippi Surgeon's website. We'll have all the links in that video. We're going to upload it to YouTube, and each of the links will be available on the YouTube video, so you can click on those, you can see those resources, you can follow those. If you need help in your area, no matter where you are, I'm more than happy to help anybody find a provider in their area. Certainly if you're local to me or you're in the state of Louisiana, happy to see those people. If y'all are interested in starting a therapeutic relationship, I'm more than happy to discuss that with you. If you aren't in Louisiana, I will help you find somebody in your area that will fit your needs. I'm always more than happy to do that for anybody who is struggling, who wants some professional help with any of those issues, those post-op issues. And we know that people have transfer addictions, that plays a role in body image issues and self-esteem issues. Oftentimes there's social anxiety issues, and people drink to accommodate for that feeling of discomfort in social situations. So it is very important to get help when you need it, and I've always made myself available to help people find someone locally who can work with them.
Well, Nanette, thank you so much. You've definitely helped me, and I'm so glad that I was able to go through this journey with you, and everything that you've shared with us is just so poignant and comes from a place of knowledge and experience and love. You know, I can tell you really care for us and everyone that you work with.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking to everyone this evening. Thank you so much, Megan, for being my facilitator this evening. I also want to give a quick shout out to Rob. He has been working IT for us. He's going to help us get that video uploaded, and we are going to get that posted probably by the end of the day tomorrow. If not by tomorrow, on Monday it should be up on the site. You can check the South Mississippi Facebook page, and you can check their channel on YouTube. We also have our videos available from the December session if you're interested in checking that out. But thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We look forward to presenting on other topics to you again soon. Megan, I appreciate your time. I'm so glad you were able to present or facilitate this for me tonight, and I look forward to our next conversation for everybody in the audience.
Same here. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.